Energy Radio.
Welcome. We are broadcasting live from the mothership. You are tuned in and listening to Starseed Energy Radio with your host Jonah Bolt. Starseed Energy Radio, where you can always tune in to hear the colors and see the music. Starseed Energy Radio goes live in 3, 2, 1.
All right, what's up, Spaceship Earth? Thanks for tuning in. You are now receiving a live transmission from Starseed Radio, where you could always tune in to hear the colors and see the music. I'm your host, Jonah Bolt, the Octorian Starseed, and today is Wednesday, December 16th, 2015. Hope everyone is having a good week so far. I can't believe the holiday season is here. Christmas next week, the New Year's this year really just flew by. I cannot believe how quickly this year flew by. Hope everyone's going to have a good holiday season. Couple announcements to make. Please check out starseedradio.com for the latest news and updates. We're always posting up good articles, stay informed, lots of news, lots of things going on. Went over a lot of headlines and stuff yesterday. Hope everyone got a chance to check a lot of the stories out. Starseed Radio also has some live weather trackers, space weather trackers, things like that on there. So check us out, starseedradio.com. Also, check out Starseed Technologies. We have some amazing new renewable technologies we're pushing, water recycling, energy, hydroponics, aquaponics, lots of amazing stuff on there. And if you want a free piece of elite shungite, fill out the form on the left-hand side, or we'll send you one of our catalogs. Just fill out the form at starseedtechnologies.com, or you can call us anytime. We have a toll-free number, 888-400-2328. You can call anytime, 24/7. Just leave us a voicemail, and someone will get right back to you. Also, the last website to plug is starseedgold.com. This is an amazing new gold saving and exchange system. Lots of people are getting involved in that. Check out starseedgold.com. There's a video on there. And then also my personal contact information. If you do have any interest in just saving gold, give me a call. I can go over all the details with you. Check out starseedgold.com. With that, we're going to get the show started. We're joined by two guests today. We have our very special segment, Portal to Ascension, joined by Neil, who does his lyrical truth slam jam poetry. And then we're going to be joined by Edward Twitchell Hall III, one of the head organizers for the Occupy Wall Street movement. He'll be joining us going over some TPP updates and other things on some indigenous movements and stuff he's involved with. But before that, we're going to get the show started with our daily quote. Spirituality does not teach us to run away from everyday life, issues, and problems. It is a training to pass through the difficulties and issues and face it bravely. It helps us to become whole and to behave effectively. Spiritual life is a practical life. Like that one. That quote is by Satish Kaku. I'll post that up also at starseedradio.com and also on our Twitter feed. Great quote. With that, we're going to get the show started. Welcoming Neil to the show. Good morning, Star Brother. How are you?
Good morning, my brother. I'm great. How are you?
Excellent. Doing good. Lots of good things happening. Got a busy couple weeks coming up. Holidays are here.
Yes.
And of course, want to talk about our synergy oneness to the elements. We have the water element. We're joined by some 4 amazing panelists again this Sunday. And you also have your Portal to Ascension platform, which if you would, Neil, just give us a little quick background on Portal to Ascension and also just the reason behind it, if you would, please.
Yes. So Portal to Ascension, we've been doing webinars for the last year and a half, been around for 8 years. The whole intention behind this is to raise the vibration of the planet so that we can collectively shift into a paradigm where we have transparency, unity, unconditional love, compassion. Those are the default settings of our reality. Currently, it seems that we're existing in quite the opposite. So it's really needed right now. So we're basically a central hub connecting the dots worldwide online through our webinar system that we're working with some of the top revolutionaries in the world, bringing out their information to communities that wouldn't have been able to get it because they don't have access to this information, or these speakers don't travel out there to do their events, to do workshops. Like I live in California and we're saturated here and we're over inundated with conscious workshops. So we're giving people the opportunity. I've had people in Russia contact us, people in India contact us, where they literally create parties around our events that we're having almost weekly now, and everybody gets together to hear this information. So right now, portal attention is truly needed in order to take this awareness to the exponential level.
Excellent. Thank you for that. I always have you do that just so the listeners who don't know what Portal to Ascension is and the importance of it now have a better understanding. It is an amazing platform. Really, the knowledge and information is where the key to this global awakening is. The more people understand this knowledge and information, the more we can co-create an amazing world together. And that is why Portal Ascension is just a neural net of that. So thank you again. And I know that today you have your daily word, and then you'll talk a little bit and go into your Slam Jam poetry, which we always ask Neil to slow down a little bit for our listeners out there that are in other countries that English is their second language. So with that, Neil, take it away.
All right, brother. Firstly, I'm going to mention the upcoming webinars we have. Like Jonah was saying, Synergy, Oneness of the Elements, Series 4, Water. So we've done 3 series, and you do not have to have attended any of those series to be a part of this one. They're all independent from each other, but they're all based on different elements. So this one's based on water, so obviously we're going to talk about the water element. So topics covered: restructuring water, Dr. Emoto's research, proof that water has memory, water structuredized technology, the consciousness of water, changing the physical property of water, and water with electromagnetic fields. So we're creating niche events together, and we're really like zeroing in on how we can expand our consciousness within certain fields. So that's coming up this Sunday. You can purchase tickets, $22 a ticket. You can go to portaltoascension.com and purchase a ticket. You can also purchase all 5 episodes where you get 1 free for $88, and go to our website. You can purchase that, and we'll send you all the past episodes and sign you up for the next one next year. And on the other webinar I want to plug really quick is we're doing a huge online conference. This is like the evolution of what we're creating, called the Extraterrestrial Disclosure Online Summit, on January 15th, 16th, and 17th. 3 days, 16 presenters, hosted by Alan Steinfeld, Jonah Bolt, and myself. And we're calling it the most fully encompassing extraterrestrial event ever, only because we're going to keep growing on this event, making it more and more days. 2016 we're coining as the year of disclosure. We're going to take it to the streets. We're going to freaking go crazy with this information, and it's starting in January. So check out our website, portaltoascension.com, and please sign up over there. You can sign up for 1 day. You can sign up for all 3 days. Okay, so with that, I want to get into my word. So today's word is Christmas, believe it or not. So Christmas,
I believe it. That's great.
In particular, Christ consciousness. So I wanted to talk about the hidden symbols of Christmas. Firstly, Christmas was never a Christian holiday. Christmas was a pagan holiday. Christmas was adopted by the Christians in order to be able to convert pagans that they wanted to convert to Christianity, and basically give them something, like give them a little piece of candy, saying like, hey, we got your traditions here, so it's easier for them to transition. So the actual tradition of Christmas started from the Druids, and this is how the story goes. Basically, the shamans around the winter season, they would go into the wilderness, and they would find evergreen trees. And by those evergreen trees, underneath them will be growing magic mushrooms, psychedelic mushrooms. And maybe you can correct me, Jonah. I don't know how to really say the name. I think it's Amnescara muscara. Do you know the name of the mushroom? Okay, never mind. So I'll continue. Anyways, the mushroom will be growing underneath the evergreen tree. So they would go up to the tree, they would pick those mushrooms, and then they would hang them on top of the tree to dry, because they've been in snow and they're really wet. So the presents underneath the tree were actually the mushrooms. The ornaments on top of the tree were actually the mushrooms. And that's why, like, the oldest ornaments, and one of the key ornaments we see, is the muscara mushroom, which is a mushroom with that's red capped with white dots on it. It's one of the most common symbolisms in, believe it or not, Walt Disney's cartoons, and also on Christmas tree ornaments. So they would leave it there to dry, and they would come back 3 days later after it would dry, and they would come and pick the mushrooms. However, there were a lot of wild deer running around. So the deer would come and eat some of the mushrooms and get really, really like high on drugs, and they would pee themselves. So the shamans would come and they would drink snow cones from the pee in order to get the psychedelic experience from the deer rather than having to eat the mushrooms immediately, and then they would take it home. So basically, Christmas was actually created all around mushrooms and shamanic rituals around psychedelic drugs that would help them connect. So now, how does this connect into the Christ consciousness? So Christians, Hebrews, Hindus, Islamic people, they're all waiting for the return of the Messiah. The Christians call him Christ. The Hindus call him Krishna. So we're all waiting for this return. But what people are neglecting to realize is that the stories, the metaphors within all these scriptures were actually stories about an internal world, not an external world. So when this saying, the return of the Messiah, it was never really about an actual person coming back down to save us, which everybody's giving their power up to some external entity. It was all about the return of the Messiah within. And that's what the poem I'm going to do is about that. But the Christ consciousness is an energy that is within us and represents the energy of earth. It represents the awakening process of earth. The Christ, the story of Christ, was a story of this awakening process and the return of the Messiah that all these faiths talk about worldwide. And even like the Mayans talked about the return of their God. Like all of that was a representation of the Christ consciousness waking within. Now, how does that tie into mushrooms? Mushrooms is said to be the consciousness of the earth. The Christ consciousness is said to be the consciousness of the earth. If you took an X-ray and you looked at earth and you looked underneath, you would see a bunch of fungi connecting underneath the earth. Literally, the nervous system of the earth are mushrooms connecting each other together. So technically, when you're eating a mushroom, you're eating the consciousness of the earth because it's literally hardwired into the nervous system of this planet. So the Druids knew about this. So that's why during the Christmas season, they would eat the Christ consciousness drug, and then they would open their third eyes because it's been scientifically proven that your pineal gland gets extremely stimulated with DMT during the psychedelic trip of mushrooms. And then they would tap into the Christ conscious energy and they would see all types of stuff like ETs, sacred geometry. They put it in their artwork. So that's the truth of Christmas. And a lot of people, when you say this to them, they could feel that you're kind of discrediting them, you know. So
wow, that's amazing. Neil, I was gonna say that's I've never heard that myself. That's amazing.
Yeah. This is the truth, man. Like I've done mad research on this for the last few years, and basically this actually should make us love Christmas even more, not less. Because now you know the truth of Christmas. The truth is something spiritual. The truth isn't something external. Truth isn't consumerism. The truth isn't that it's just Christianity. The truth is that it is based on a connection to the earth that the ancient shamans did. And it's very synchronistic because what is one of the things that Christians hate the most? Pagans. And where's their number one religion come from? Paganism. So it's kind of ironic if you think about it, you know what I mean?
It's an oxymoron.
Yep. All right. So that goes into a poem that I've done here before, but it's been a few months and it's just perfect for this time. It's the political spirituality one, and it's about the paganistic holiday of Christmas and how it was hijacked, and then how Constantine wanted to become the emperor of Rome. And basically, it's like a trip through history up until present time to the ascension. So political spirituality. The sun stops on the 22nd, dies in the skies, and reflects over the oceans. He walks on water. Did you not see him talking to me? Telling me how to be like he lived? He died for us, but there's no such thing as us. There's only one covenant. Control me, show me, teach me. Since 325 AD, Constantine proclaimed himself a part of divinity. Manipulations of Christianity. Political organizations created from anarchy, making us believe there's only one way to breathe and conform to society. Place me at the bottom of the elitist hierarchy. The pyramids created by the Anunnaki, climbing the Tower of Babel to reach God. Why did you leave us here? Not separate at all, it's all crystal clear. Human flaws portrayed in a concept of divinity. Is politics intertwined with spirituality? Is politics intertwined with spirituality? Galaxy so far away, we intertwine planetary cosmic stargate to seek, breach walls of society through technology, spread word to the masses, exude gases of volcanic ashes, cosmic element irrelevant to the reason why we will control your mind with words of divine originality, originally deceived but believed to be one of the free rebels of humanity. It's a fallacy, superficial promises of rules and laws, find the meaning for a truer cause, scriptures and prophecies of the second coming of God, sacred sounds, sacred geometry of fourth dimensional lords. The new age will not be as hard, 1,000 years in revelations with us realizing we are God. negative energy will be gone. The rise in the feminine energy is due to us becoming brothers, one with a terrestrial mother. No more Jehovah, a witness knocking at my door. No more having to get on our knees on the floor. No more someone capitalizing on you because he wants to score. No more pettiness and war. No more pimps and street corner whores. No more violence, media manipulations and gore. So until that day arrives, I will meditate and concentrate my thought and my mind on the manifestation of one love, consciousness, and rhymes. Thank you.
Wow. Woo. Awesome. Thank you. As always, it's amazing the lyrical truth that you bring, Star Brother, to the airwaves. It's amazing. Thank you again for your truth. And before you go, Neil, I just want to really dive in a little bit to when you talked about disclosure, just to back up a little bit, and this is the year that you want to bring it to the streets and the year that we want to do it. Let's talk a little bit more. We have a few minutes left. What are some ways people can get involved? I know there's like the CE5 initiative. You have the Costa. You have, all the different groups doing it. What are some ways? Go into some more detail. Let's do disclosure. Let's get it out there. How can we do it?
I think like what I've started doing, because I'm racking my brain thinking like, how can we get more people to know? And I'm just not holding back anymore, man. Like I'm not saying, oh, this guy is at that level that I shouldn't say the truth anymore. I'm literally like any opportunity I get to tell people the truth, because I have just had some experiences that has no doubt in my mind that this is happening. And I've met people that have given workshops that just blew the lid off everything. So what I would suggest is that if you ever have an opportunity to bring it up. Or even if you don't have to say like ETs exist and this is why, you can always pose questions like, what do you think about this? Get people thinking about something outside of this reality that we currently live in.
Now, are you going to be doing a campaign as well? Like when you say on the streets, are you talking like posters and stickers and things like that?
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna order a bunch of bumper stickers for Portal to Ascension and for Disclosure, and we're gonna put that out. We're gonna get shirts on it. We're gonna go to like Venice Beach with a camera and ask everybody if they believe in ETs and just film it and just make mad viral videos on YouTube with certain questions per video. So because we actually did this before. I went to Venice Beach 2 years ago, and we only did it for like 20 minutes because we wanted to see how it was. And we asked like 30 people, do you believe in ETs? And every single one of them said yes. And then some of them said, I think we may even come from them. So, and these people aren't per se spiritual and esoterics, just regular people walking around day-to-day life. So if everybody on the day-to-day level, if you ask them this question, actually says the same thing that you and I say, Jonah, then maybe there's something there.
Yeah. I am in agreement. I mean, I opened the show. I'm a starseed from the Star of Arcturus. That's my truth. I speak it. And although it's hard for maybe some people to even understand what that is, from what you're saying is everyone is at least open to the idea that there is something else out there besides us, besides humans. There is intelligence out there. I definitely think people are opening that. Let me ask you this. So going back to the disclosure hearings, right? I was actually in D.C. last time. I was there for a day at the International Press Club in D.C. I talked to Stephen Bassett and this one and, all the great guys that were there. And they had that for a whole week, the disclosure hearings. They had congressmen, they had this, they had all these people there for a whole week. The New York Times was there, all these people, all this stuff, but nothing happened.
Yeah.
What do you think's going on with something like that? I mean, they have a huge conference, a week long. They had generals there, they had congressmen there, they had all this stuff. And nothing happened in terms of what I mean is like a quantum leap. It wasn't reported news. People didn't, spurk up like, what did that accomplish? Did you see that as an accomplishment? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, like when it was happening, I was tripping out because I was like, oh my God, this is it, And but firstly, all those people there were ex-Congress people, so they didn't have a say in Congress in this moment. They had got out of office, right? And then I even watched some of the Congress people's testimonial videos, and they were like, oh my God, like this is amazing. So I was like, oh wow, they're going to actually do something about it. But I think there's too much fear and control still on that level that people are scared to speak the truth right now. But I do feel that Steve Bassett is actually taking it to the next level. I think it had an effect. He even said like Obama was watching it, and a lot of high level profile people are watching it, and they want disclosure within their own context. They want to do it when the way they want to do it. They don't want to do it the way the people want to do it. And this disclosure hearings are all about the people bringing it out. So how can you control people when you don't have control over the way the information comes out, you know? But now Steve Bassett's he's on the process of getting the same exact hearing for the UN. So that was a stepping stone for him to get on the platform of international level. That's for sure. So maybe something's going to happen now with the UN.
I think it may be time, Neil, for us to do a press conference and we just do disclosure ourselves.
Yeah,
That's
man.
what I'm thinking, and I've talked about this, and I've actually wrote Stephen Bassett this year about that, doing something, because I was at the point even earlier this year where I was like, you know what, screw everybody, let's just like tell everybody who we are and what we are, and not try to get all these officials and all this stuff, and just be open about it and see how that works, rather than getting everyone's opinion and statements and making it all, very official-like. It doesn't have to be official. It just has to be us speaking our truth, and it doesn't have to be so, like that. So that's maybe a thought for listeners out there as well. Start speaking your truth. You're from Pleiades or Orion. Everyone's soul originates somewhere. Souls aren't born here on Earth. That's the 21 grams that leave your body. So, souls come from somewhere, and dig deep and find that truth and speak it. It's really that simple. We're in a time now where we could speak our truth and not worry about being, hanged or, or crucified and things like that, like many of our ancestors were for just speaking simple truth. So we need to take advantage of that, I feel. And this could be the year, Neil. I'm with you on that. Bring it to the streets, get it out there. We've been talking a lot about different ideas and things to bring people together, and I'm hoping, and I see that it is happening. People are starting to come together, and I think it's a good idea to take it to the streets and start doing it. Like Disclosure Now campaign or whatever you're going to do. So
that's awesome. That's a good hashtag.
It is, right? Disclosure Now hashtag. Yeah. So let's do it, man. I'll help you rock it out and get the people involved. And I'm glad to see people like Alfred Lombard. I connected. Was talking to him about Adam Apollo, and finally they connected. And they just did a great interview. Adam Apollo did the whole galactic history, the true Star Wars story. Awesome. They just launched that. Yeah. I don't know if you saw that video up.
No, I didn't. That's cool.
Oh, and that's what I love to do, is just connecting people, like I'll talk to him. And that's all we really have to do is start opening our mouths and connecting people and being that disclosure ourselves and just being open and speaking our truth. And really that's how we can do it. So, when you see interviews like that happening about our true galactic history, the true Star Wars, and you're talking from people that have been to the White House, that have gone off planet and met with star nations, that's real, That's like, you can't make that. You can make it up, but these people are experiencing this stuff for themselves, for real, and that just shows the rest of us that disclosure is near. It has to be. These people wouldn't be doing meetings off planet and stuff if it wasn't. And I know you have a lot of whistleblowers and stuff from past webinars. What are some things some of the whistleblowers are saying? If you wouldn't mind giving us a couple.
Well, first thing, as soon as you say that, comes to mind is Stephen Greer's last webinar, where he disclosed some information that he's never disclosed before. And one of the things was, I don't know if I told you yet or we spoke about it here, was that Marilyn Monroe was actually killed because of her awareness of extraterrestrial presence. And he released these CIA documents that was a transcript of her communicating with someone over the phone. And basically, because she was having affairs with both Kennedys, and there was pillow talk, I guess, and she knew a lot of stuff. And she called and said, if you don't basically give me what I want, I'm going to hold a press conference and let everyone know. 2 days later, she was dead.
Wow.
So that's just one of the things, is so much information and so many things that we didn't even know that are in the celebrity realm that are connected directly to ETs. One thing that I'm learning through these whistleblowers is the extraterrestrial disclosure movement is probably the biggest movement of all time, more than water, more than anything, because that is the root of it all. The power struggle and the corruption, the pollution, the energy crisis. If we knew about ETs and how they got here and used their technology wisely, all that stuff would be gone.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that about Marilyn Monroe. That's fascinating. And even look at, I was just watching Discovery Channel this week. I don't really watch TV at all, but I'm here in Florida, and It was talking about how Adolf Hitler was actually, survived and was living in Argentina and escaped. And I'm like, wow, all these years, all the historians, and meanwhile, the FBI had plenty of documents showing they were watching.
Oh, yeah,
they saw him go to Spain. They saw him go to Argentina. They knew where he was. But they didn't tell us
that's the biggest conspiracy of them all, dude. NASA.
That Hitler was dead. You know the famous picture where they're standing over the body of Hitler.
Yeah.
And they know it wasn't him, but they let the playbook play out. They let that game play. They're right. Let them believe Hitler's dead. Ha ha ha. So people out there, listeners, trust me, there's a lot more than meets the eye than what we're being told. A lot, even from just the death of Hitler on down. If you think they're, holding that back and they're going to tell us about ETs very quickly, you're wrong. That's why we need everyone to really be vocal.
Right.
And that was some fascinating information as well. And Neil, before you go, what are some ways that you think people can also not just get involved, but maybe raise awareness? You said do postings before. Are there ways that people can contact you and get involved with helping Portal to Ascension get out there and get involved that way?
Yes. You can go to our website, portaltoascension.com, and contact us. We are in need for people to write articles because we want to expand our website really, really big so we can obviously get more people, more content we have. We need people to help promote our events and affiliates. So we just want to get this out on a mass level. We have a platform we can fit thousands of people. So why not fill it up with thousands of people doing the same thing, whether it's an ET disclosure event or whether we're all meditating together online with a collective intention to shift the consciousness of the planet.
That's what's up. Awesome, Star, brother. Love you so much, man. Thank you again for your segment,
too,
Portal to Ascension. And Neil, I will talk to you a little later, I'm sure. And with that, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And we come back, we're going to be joined by Edward Twitchell Hall III, talking about some TPP updates and other updates as well. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Imagine a world we could live in. These seeds in the minds of our children. These trees that grow a solution. Hemp can save. George Washington grew hemp. Even the Declaration of Independence was made on hemp paper. Thomas Jefferson had hemp fields. Let me tell you all the things organically grown hemp yields. Jack Heron tried to tell.
Exposing Faux Capitalism with Jason Erm. Saturday on Truth Frequency Radio.
Off the moon and back.
Will you watch the world burn from your jet? Or plant a tree on your spaceship? We'll never find another home, but we can feel the wind blow. Will you watch the world burn from your jet? Or plant a tree on your spaceship? We'll never find another home, but we can feel the wind blow. Music on the radio.
All right, welcome back to the show. That is Space Tree by Medium Troy. I love that track. It always puts a smile on my face. I hope it did with you also, Ted. Plant a tree on my spaceship. What a good song for you. Excellent. Welcome back to the show. We're joined by Edward Twitchell Hall III, better known as Ted, and you are listening to Starseed Radio. Ted is always a good guest to come on to update us on a lot of important topics. He is one of the lead organizers of the Occupy Wall Street movement when it kicked off, and now he has gone to many other sustainable and indigenous movements and practices, and it's just always good to have him on, filled with lots of updates and information. So with that, Ted, thanks for coming back on the show. How have you been? How are the kids?
I'm doing really good. We're out in Long Island working on one of the farm plots, getting ready for spring, and just breathing fresh air. So doing good. How are you?
Excellent. Doing good. Lots of things happen. It's the holiday season, and lots of movement all over the world. We see, Syria building up, and Turkey and Russia, and this, and the TPP had some movement in the last week. They're bringing that back up again. So, let's jump into a little bit of that. I know last week I talked about the TPP is back on the table again, and They just let Thailand, I think, join the TPP, and they basically took out a provision talking about slave labor, which they're allowing countries like Thailand and other ones to join part of the TPP that do have slave labor. Obama actually nixed the provision in there that said slave labor countries cannot join. So there's definitely still a lot of movement and activity in the TPP. So that is very much still aware and alive. So we want listeners to be aware of that. And Ted, if you would maybe give us a little background on the TPP and any updates you have on that.
Sure. So the Trans-Pacific Partnership is one of three essentially secretly negotiated international I don't know if agreements is the right word to put it, but they're pacts that were made behind closed doors, the TPP being one of the largest of them. And it recently finally opened up because people were speaking about it in venues like this, like your show. And it was started around 2001, as far as I can study. So the first times that it was discussed, creating this trade. It's not really a trade deal. Really, what it is just a complete centralization and hyper corruption of really well-founded just city, state, and national regulations that basically are really hard-won safeguards for our fresh air, for water, for labor rights, for access to medicine. So the TPP is one of these negotiations, and it basically encompasses the Pacific Rim and over 40% of the world's economic power. And I was just actually reading the actual text document, like the hard text today, and about the international panel, as they call it. But it's basically a corporate appointed tribunal for putting companies that are a part of this pact on equal footing, or frankly higher footing than nations, the United States included. So that is what is on the table. And I actually noticed that the biggest thing these days is a misinformation, like a kind of a linguistic misinformation, where people really think that the TPP has been passed, but it's not something that is in law. It's actually just still a proposed agreement. And the more that people know about it and share it and say, hell no, like we can't accept this proposal as it is in any way, shape, or form, because we're not ready to let corporations have more power than the freaking Constitution.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So, listeners out there, if you're not familiar with the TPP, definitely educate yourself. Since 2001, as Ted was saying, they've been trying to push this agenda. That's a long time, Ted, almost 15 years trying to push this agenda through. So you know that it's definitely an important agenda of what they're trying to pass. If they've been trying to push it for 15 years, they've been working on this thing. So very important people to learn about. It's a giant corporate takeover of world's resources, waters, lakes, rivers. Doesn't matter if they're on your land or not. Private property means nothing. It's crazy from that on down. It's just nonstop, and it's taking away not just rights, but rights of nature, rights of everything. It's just corporations claiming resources, natural resources. It's pretty out of control, and if people don't know about it and they're not aware about it, then we can't take action to try to stop it. So educate yourself. We always say educate yourself on the topics we talk about, and then do what you can to speak your truth and get the information out there. It's the only way we could raise the awareness to try to stop it. And it looks like we've been doing that, Ted, since you're saying they've opened it up and people are now, being vocal about it, and there's some movement in that. So that's a good sign. That's a good thing that people are, starting to wake up and do that stuff. And also, when you talk about Agenda 21 and some other things, what are also some updates on your end on Agenda 21? Any movement in that lately? Or any of the other big movements that are happening out there. It's been kind of quiet this year in terms of Occupy, like Wall Street type movements. I haven't seen a lot of that this year. Not too many protests this year. It's sort of quieted down a little bit. What do you think the movement is worldwide? What do you think's happening?
Well, it seems, it's really wild to try to look at the state of speech in the world and in America. I'm just going to sort of rattle off a bunch of random stuff, but
Sure,
I was
go
looking at, I was there actually is a huge amount of movement on the ground, but it's kind of invisible because of rather sophisticated corporate efforts to sort of create a haze and a fog around how people find information. And some of the pieces came together when I was looking at the company that Hillary Clinton hired to secure her email server, which was a totally illegal act, ridiculously irresponsible to have national security information on a private server. That company that performed that service, I can't remember their name right off the top of my head. I have to look it up again, but it's easy to find. Just look up like what that company was, and you can actually look at their website. And their website shows what their services are. And one of their services is, quote, eliminating protest threats from corporate stocks. For shareholder value. So what they do is they're specialists in, it seems like basically sort of corporate espionage on grassroots organizing that would otherwise grab the attention of the shareholders of these companies. So that's like, that was something that told me, hey, like, this is really encouraging because it means whoever tells you, hey, it doesn't work, like, you can't talk, I don't know, if protest doesn't work, if it doesn't work, then it wouldn't be undermined. And I don't really like protests, but that Occupy wasn't a protest. It was we were actually building a new system in public. And so there's power in creative action, and especially when it people misinterpret it as political, because I'm astounded people thought Occupy was political. It was just a legal issue, or like pointing out illegality that is very well known, which is the 2008 bailout and the scam behind it. And then we are also displaying here all these solutions. So that kind of experience is invaluable right now in terms of shaping how we see the world and or shaping dialogue. And dialogue and sharing information right now is really important. And the internet is not the most trustworthy means just because it's hyper automated, mostly directed by algorithms. Like it's just an artifact of for-profit internet management. So it's through people who are really consciously aware that they're talking to other human beings who are alive and valuing that time that we have with each other while we're on Earth to help move humanity forward. It's that kind of dialogue. It's stuff like this. It's meeting in public. It is going to protest. You're actually going to meet real people who know what's happening. It's a great way to socialize. And there's some other pieces of information that I think are pretty valuable in terms of trying to deconstruct what is occurring at this moment. because just knowing the information is really helpful in averting future loss of life, as well as how to orient our efforts in terms of how we organize ourselves and creating a sustainable future locally, and continuing to network our knowledge and skills, because we know it's not going to be legislated. And there might be kind of a mainstream solution that's half poisonous, half acceptable, but we have to build the real one that is going to be counted evolutionarily.
I like the way you said that, Ted, is that there is a lot of movement, but it's quiet. And I could understand that. I think that there definitely is a lot of movement in terms of people waking up. I think that's still on the rise. There's definitely people that are becoming more sustainable, conscious. So I think that maybe you're right to the sense that there's like it's quiet, but it's still building up. It's building up to something big, meaning it could be another big event or another big protest or march or something like that. But I think that the movement towards people sick of the system and sick of the government and sick of things the way they are is definitely on the rise. I think that's definitely some movement. And then we got the elections, which are totally taking a lot of the spotlight and mainstream over bigger issues that are happening around the world. I think a lot of that is just cover up for a lot of the bigger stories, but you got a lot of that going on as well. So it's definitely a very interesting times, especially this next year coming up, where we have Trump and Hillary and other people like that running for president. I mean, it's going to be out of control. I mean, I can't even fathom what it's going to be like next year during elections, and we have a whole nother year before even elections come. So who knows what can happen here on Spaceship Earth in that next year or not? I mean, there's always something epic happening here. So lots of things coming up this year to pay attention to. We just had Neil talk about how they want to do disclosure now, and have disclosure happen this year. So there's that. There's many other things that are happening. The elections, and then you have this crazy buildup with Russia and Syria and Turkey, and that's going off, and that's not a good situation at all. And that's not even being really talked about in the news. And there's some big superpowers that are doing things to change, like BRICS. I'm sure you're familiar with BRICS, with Russia and China. And they're wanting to put a lot of money into sustainable projects and things like that. So who knows how authentic that is? What do you think about the BRICS bank and what they're doing, Ted?
Well, the equity-based finances are really huge and a huge step in a better direction, and that seems like what BRICS is trying to do is sort of a more development-friendly financial system. But the other thing with that is that those countries are not. It's really going to be difficult to figure out how to stretch towards an international currency shift. It seems to me like there's a real interesting possibility with the things like what Bretton Woods was kind of bringing out, the Bretton Woods 4, not the crazy Bretton Woods that created the Federal Reserve as the dollar as the world reserve system, but it was this other one that we've spoken about a number of times on the show that happened this year. And it was about this thing called the Common Sense Bill for creating publicly governed banks instead of privately managed, like federal funds. And that's what we have, and we're sort of stuck. What's kind of weird and what I'm noticing is that everything has a really deep root with the petrodollar in terms of what we're seeing in Syria and Libya, and all of it has to do with this kind of maintaining the fact that the United States dollar is the oil standard, and that's why we have ISIS like this. That's the reason ISIS exists, is because the United States has completely gone for basically we've totally annulled any of our loyalty to international finance. And under Nixon, we just said, hey, we're going to partner with Saudi Arabia. And as long as they're in agreement with us, we're going to have the oil sold by dollars. It's like there's really no such thing as a sustainable future as long as the most dominant currency in the world is based on petroleum. It's impossible. So the only thing that is possible is something that are solutions that don't depend on that kind of financial system. And BRICS is kind of interesting, but most of those countries, I mean, Brazil is quite sustainable. China really is pushing really hardcore in sustainability. Russia actually is ridiculously strong with its agriculture in terms of sustainable agriculture. So they're like, I mean, they're a little bit better, but the root of the problem is the Federal Reserve. And that really has to be dealt with at home, and it doesn't need to be dealt with in any other way except Americans becoming proficient with their powers. And that's like every state in the Union of the United States can secure how it's banking at a state level. There's no reason that we need to allow our state financing and funds to be managed by a private entity. And that's like the mouth of the tick, you know? Like that is the parasite fight.
Yeah, I agree.
Where all these other problems come from.
Yeah, and I think that it's very, iffy times in terms of stability as well. When you look at the world powers and currencies with the dollar and what it's doing, it's going to be very interesting times. I mean, it always has been, but really right now we're in some really crazy times. If the dollar goes down and things like that, it's going to radically change the way everyone's living here in the country. And
it would be great if, like, I'm hoping that happens, and now I'm also seeing that the machinery of the roller coaster ride of capitalism, it's like it's totally enmeshed and entwined with terrorism. And that's what, like, the stock market went up after the Paris attacks. So there's this really, if more Americans start to understand, hey, the reason our country's economy is this and our dollar has any value is because we're waging a transcontinental war for our, quote, safety at home. Like, you have to kill people in another continent to be safe here. That's how you start a fight if it comes here. It's like killing people who are really far away for no reason. So it's this, our economy is strangely locked into, it's very strange. And I think that there's something to be said about the fact that we have $8 trillion that went missing during the Disclosure Project. I mean, like, if people sort of look at disclosure and they look at, wow, there's these black box funds that are just like being siphoned through these corporations. Oh, well, that's why this is being negotiated. So they have even more anarchistic, immutable funds. And then, oh, wait, like, so there's a whole bunch that was ripped off during the crash. Where is ISIS getting all of this money? Like this, it just seems this way to me, and that's like, I don't know. I think that's a worthwhile kind of thing to try to test to try to figure out if this is part of it. Like the two ends of an endless war. It's like the same people. We know. Like whoever's funding ISIS is also funding America. It has to be. That's how it's always been.
Even ISIS itself is saying in videos that they're being funded by the West. And, we knew years ago that when we said, oh, we're going to train the rebels, we went in there and armed them and trained them and funded them. And this is not something new the U.S. has done. This is old news for, people that really know what's going on. So it's people waking up to that reality as well, Ted, that, America has funded terrorism. America's done this. We are not, the biggest, baddest, greatest country of all times. Like we've been taught and believed. I saw a great clip last week from a movie, I think it was, or a TV show, and and the college students were asking the professors, why is America the greatest country? And one professor was like, we are not. We used to be, but we're like, there's 3 top things we're number one at in the world. When it comes to like economy, jobs, we're not number one. We're down there. The 3 things we're top at, number 1 was people incarcerated in the world. We have the most amount of people incarcerated. Number 2 was the amount of money we spend on arms sales. We top the top 24 countries, and we spend more than the top 24 countries in arms and guns and missiles and stuff, even though the 24 countries are allies of us. And the 3rd thing we're number 1 at is people that believe angels are real. I like that one. So that's what we're number 1 at.
Built in UFOs, man. They don't see us coming.
Yeah. So it's
a whole other side of America that's like got its head on.
That's it. And, there's lots of ways people can get involved and lots of ways people can do, to raise awareness. And one of the main things that you're involved in and have been involved in is indigenous movements and bringing back the indigenous word and their treaties and stuff like that. And that's also very, very important, because people really have forgotten the Native Americans, and people really have forgotten the treaties and things like that. So if you would, Ted, could you give us a couple different websites and stuff for people to check out that can also get involved and just raise some awareness about some of the treaties and other initiatives that you've been working on?
Sure. The main website that has a lot of information. It's not updated for the next year, but it has information in the last 3 years of the revival of the honor of the oldest treaty in the whole continent. And that website is 2row.us or TWOROW. So like the number 2 and row, like canoeing. .us. And this sort of, after speaking about all of these, sort of bleak aspects of the world that we're looking through, like the shadows from the light that we're all, working to cast from this spiritual connection we all have, it's that this kind of work that good people do, building communities, working with youth, and envisioning like a post-petroleum, not just envisioning, but building that post-petroleum society in a sane manner. Like that's what's going to undermine, that's going to topple the Tower of Babel completely, and it's almost invisible, which is great because it's effective. Most of the most effective things are invisible. So these treaties are really, it's not just the treaties. We as Americans really can identify with treaties and look at them historically and see the paperwork and notice, hey, like there's another legal system in America, and it's indigenous law. And we know that the universe is one. We know that the laws of the universe are one. We know the cause of the universe is one. We know our planet's one. And having these other expressions of that law socially is a really important part of how we strengthen our true solutions. So this, by recognizing indigenous law, we're actually recognizing that diversity within humanity that is so fundamental to our survival. And this treaty, the 2-row treaty, it was extended by the people of the Flint, that we know as the Mohawk, to the Dutch. And it was basically from the first welcome to the continent, and it's a really good place to start in terms of looking at how we all relate to our indigenous roots.
Excellent. We're out of time, but thank you again, Ted, for all the work you do in service, and always good to hear your voice and updates on the radio.